Hi! Happy Monday morning, you guys! I am going to be going over some pressure cooking 101. We're going to start with the quinoa that I actually soaked last week. Got super busy on Friday, didn't get a chance to cook it, and I'm going to cook that today. I put it in the fridge after I drained it, and we're going to do that, and it takes literally 1 minute to get to pressure, and then we're going to let it sit to naturally release. So I'll go over all that stuff. And then I'm going to get some beans started. We won't do that properly. Probably won't finish by the end, but I'm going to show you how much quicker it is to do beans in the pressure cooker. While that's kind of going, because that's what's nice about the pressure cooker is it just goes while you can do other things. I'm going to be talking about smart snacking tips. So I hope you guys had a wonderful weekend, and let me see if I can get this set up a little better. Okay. I hope you guys had a good weekend. If you're jumping on live, if you can put in the comments, or if you're watching later, maybe tell me something about what happened this weekend. Maybe any insights you had about food prep, if you used the weekend to get ahead a little bit on food prep, or if you noticed you ate out and came up against any issues. So especially if you ate out, I want to kind of talk a little bit later on in the week about some tips for eating well, like nutrition no time, when you go out. So how to still make meals out nutritious. So maybe put in the comments if you're watching this later, even, I would love to hear any kind of things that you come up against when you eat out, or questions that you have when you eat out. I'd love to try and answer those for you. Okay, we're gonna jump into it. So last Thursday, we were in the kitchen doing some washing. I rinsed the quinoa, I put it to soak, and I had about a little over 1 cup of quinoa. And so now I'm going to put that in the pressure cooker and going to go through for you all the different steps of the pressure cooker. So let me make sure if I can turn this around. I've got this selfie light on here. See if I can turn the screen around though with it on there. I'm trying to get better light in the kitchen. Yay! Got it. Oh no, it's blocking it. There we go. Here you go, you guys can see. So this is my stovetop pressure cooker, and if you were in the challenge last year, you probably saw me do some mung beans in the pressure cooker really quickly. So what's popular these days, and I don't have one, so I can't speak from experience, but if anyone does have an Instapot, I'd love to hear how you like it, what you think about it. But Instapot's become really popular because it's kind of a combination of a pressure cooker, electric pressure cooker, and I think kind of like a slow cooker all in one. But I've got an old school one. So we're gonna grab the quinoa that I soaked last week with a little bit of apple cider vinegar. So it was a little over 1 cup of quinoa, and I soaked it with apple cider vinegar overnight, and then the next morning I rinsed it off, and since I knew I couldn't cook it, I just put it in the fridge. So this is actually, I'll let you know if this is not, it smells great. I don't think there's any harm in doing that, but I will let you know if it's not kosher, if it's not good, and I can easily cook up some more. So I'm gonna walk you through what you do with the pressure cooker. So what we're gonna do, make sure you guys can see me, or at least what I'm doing. So we're gonna put the soaked quinoa in the pressure cooker, and we're gonna put in double. So I had 1 and about 1/8 of a cup, or just a little over 1 cup of quinoa that I had soaked. So I'm gonna put in 2 cups of water. Let me grab that. Add 1, and I'm gonna go over all the different kind of key elements. I just posted right before I jumped on a link to a great article by Hip Pressure Cooking that I would love if you guys can look at it. If it's of any interest to you, it's a great resource. It goes over everything related to pressure cooking. Okay, let me do that again so you guys can kind of hear it. You want to hear the seal. So I'm lining up there's little arrows on here. See if we can show you. So there's some arrows right here. So that's where you want to line up when you put the lid on. That's just for mine. I think they're all kind of different. And there's a seal underneath there, like can you guys see that? There's like a rubber seal on the inside, and that's what makes the pressure. So I'm going to put that on, and then you listen. kind of hear that hissing sound. And then we have the valve here on the top. So we're going to turn the heat on high, so make sure it's sealed. I'm going to turn the heat on high, and it'll take a couple minutes to get up to pressure. So we're just going to let that go. I'm going to turn the camera around and talk to you guys about some other stuff. If I can turn it around, there we go. Awesome. Hey, somebody's on, yay. Okay, so with my kind of pressure cooker, you need to get it up to pressure to get that seal. So we're gonna put it on high. So it's recommended that you just set it on high flame, or high electric. If you have electric stovetop, turn it to high. And then what we're looking for is, you're going to hear as we do it, it shouldn't take more than a couple minutes to get up to pressure. And what it means by up to pressure, it means that seal that I showed you is it's gonna create that seal on the inside from the steam that it's creating from the liquid. So you always have to make sure you're putting liquid in the pressure cooker when you're cooking anything, especially like things like meat or vegetables, all those kinds of things. And you want to make sure, obviously, with grains, it's just like you would with when you would make them on the stovetop. You usually do about double the amount of liquid to the amount of grain. So then when it gets to pressure, this is going to start kind of rattling. So we want it to get to pressure, and then we're going to maintain that for 1 minute. For quinoa, it's super quick, just 1 minute, and then we're going to leave it for natural release method, and I'm going to for the steam to release. So with pressure cooking, it works under steam. It cooks it with steam. So then you have to release that steam, obviously safely, before you open it. And the types of release are natural release, where you just let it sit, turn off the heat, put it on a different burner that's not hot, and let it just naturally release slowly over time. And so that's the recommended way of releasing the steam for quinoa, as well as most beans. And that's what I'm going to show you next, are garbanzo beans or chickpeas. So doing the natural release method, which takes a little bit longer, but of course you don't have to do anything. You can be prepping something else, you can be washing dishes, you can be doing anything else in the kitchen. So the hands-on time for the pressure cooker is literally about 1 minute to get it all set up, sealed, and then you listen for it to create the pressure, and then you set the timer for 1 minute under high pressure, and once it's done that, you turn it off, put it on a separate burner that's cooler, and let it sit to release the pressure. And I'll show you how you know that the pressure is released. You basically just check by lifting this valve, and if you lift it and there's no hissing sound, no steam coming out, then it's safe. Then you know that all the steam's been released. So that's the natural release method for pressure cooking on the stovetop. Again, Instant Pot is a little different. I don't have one, so I can't speak to it, but again, that guide I sent you, that hip pressure cooking, she goes over all of both the electric Instant Pot kind of styles that are on the countertop, as well as stovetop, like I'm using for pressure cooking. And so the other method is where you force the steam to release, and you what I do is just grab a fork. I'll show you. So it's a quick release, and basically what you do, there's not going to be any steam built up right now, but you basically just put the fork and you let it just counterbalance it a little bit, and it really forces the steam out once there is steam in there that you want to release. So that's going to be another option for releasing the steam on, usually I'm trying to think of, I think when I made like a pot roast in the pressure cooker, some of the meats, they recommend doing a quick release instead of doing a natural steam release. Alright, so we got that going. Once it's at high pressure, it's probably going to take a little bit longer since I kept releasing some of the steam that there was by showing you guys, so it'll take a little bit longer. But it's usually like a couple, like two, I don't even pay attention, honestly, like I'm just usually doing other stuff in the kitchen. It usually takes 2 to 5 minutes probably to get to high pressure, and then you just set the timer 1 minute for quinoa, turn it off, and then do this natural release method, and that's usually about 10 to 15 minutes. So it's really easy to do if I need quinoa for dinner, and I don't have to stand watching it and boiling it. I don't know, for me that is a lot more time consuming because it has to be more eyes on it. With the pressure cooker, I can just let it go and it'll still be ready for dinner in time. I will also usually make extra and freeze it a little bit extra, like half of it in the freezer, and then I can have that for other recipes later on. Okay, we're gonna be doing, after this finishes, once the pressure cooker is all available, we're gonna do chickpeas afterwards, because the chickpeas I know are one that, granted you can just buy a can of beans, that's totally fine, but even without soaking them, you can get fresh fresh chickpeas, fresh garbanzo beans for hummus or a dish that you're gonna make in probably about 30 minutes, 35 minutes I think, without soaking them. If you soak them, it takes about 13 minutes of pressure cooking. So it's super quick. Instead of, for me, garbanzo beans, when I needed to steam them, always took about an hour plus if I hadn't soaked them. It's just, you're like simmering them for hours, I felt like, especially for garbanzo beans. So I'm going to show you really quickly. So this is the, can you hear it? Starting to get some steam build up. That's the safety valve. It's going to go up. Once that's up, it's going to indicate that the lid is sealed. So that's one thing too, just in terms of safety, because I think some people get nervous about using a pressure cooker, is the safety of it. And this has like two sort of safety valves. There's there, now it's sealed. I don't know if you heard that kind of stop. So that is a safety valve, and then these two as well. So there's a lot of things. And my mom's old school one really made me nervous because it didn't have all that stuff. This is a newer one. So pretty soon this is going to start rattling. And once, sorry, I'm not showing you. Once this starts rattling, that means it's at high pressure. So it's getting close. And then we're going to turn it to kind of medium heat and set the timer for 1 minute. So we're getting close. It's like suspenseful. But for the chickpeas, I'm going to just get that started for you, kind of show you the process of getting the pressure cooker just to show you again. But it's going to, again, probably not finish before we finish talking. So once we get this under pressure, which will be soon, I'm going to start talking about smart snacking. So on Thursday we did the energy bites, and I kind of talked to a little bit while I was making them about how I added the collagen peptides for protein and the fiber in it and all that kind of stuff. But I want to go through specific tools that you can use to kind of think about when you're thinking about your snacks or planning them out, and some elements of them that are helpful to always include, and some ideas for you to have some smart snacks on hand or to take on the go. So we're almost there. It's getting close. So it's starting to go. We're going to set the timer here in a second. And I am going to jump onto the computer really quickly after this goes to see if there's any questions. So type in any questions about snacking, about the pressure cooker, anything. I'm going to set our timer. Okay, and turn this down to medium heat. I'm just turning the flame down a little bit to maintain the pressure. It's just going for a minute, so it doesn't really matter. You could even leave it at high heat. But if you're going to have it going for longer, like with the chickpeas, you want to actually kind of lower the flame to about medium low. As long as it keeps that rattling, like kind of bobblehead, you want to have it do that. All right, 25 seconds. And then after that, we're just going to turn the heat off. Since we're doing a natural release method, we're going to not force the steam out like I'd shown you with the fork. We're going to just let it sit and do its thing while we do whatever the heck we want in the kitchen. So that's usually when I prep something else for dinner. We're going to use this tomorrow. I'm going to show you a mix and match meal. So that's kind of one of the tools, the third step. All right, done. Let's turn it off. I'm going to set this to the side. Alright, so we're just going to let that do its thing. And I'm going to come over here where the lighting's a little better so I can see you guys. And also check the computer and see if there's any questions, because Facebook was being silly for me. I can see that Becky, you're on. Cynthia, Tanya jumped on for a little bit. Love chickpeas, busting out pressure cooker now. Awesome! Yay, Cynthia, you can do this with me. Hopefully, if you didn't already, Cynthia, if you're still on, pull up that guide from HIIT Pressure Cooking that I posted in the group. I just posted it a little bit ago, and that can be a really helpful guide to be looking at too while we do it, if you want to peek ahead. Now we're going to go talk about smart snacking. Let me get my notes up here. Okay, so there's 3 things that I like to focus on with smart snacking. Let me change this light a little bit. There, is that better? So smart snacking has 3 elements in my book, and that is protein, fiber, and ease. So we're going to talk about all 3 of those. And kind of, I talked a little bit on Thursday about protein and why I included a little bit of extra protein to balance out the macronutrients. And the reason for that too is just that protein is a really good nutrient for increasing our satiety, and that means how satisfied we feel with the meal. Not only in the moment, but also for sustained energy, for sustained satisfaction. Excuse me. So with my snacks, I try to, it can be tricky, I try to aim for at least 10 grams if I can, or like 5 at the very minimum. But I try not to have snacks with no protein. So at least 5 grams, I try to aim for 10. And it's just one of my streamlined nutrition essentials. So and those are things that we talk about in my Magic Makers movement with the ladies. And I have 3 streamlined nutrition essentials. So there are 3 things that I do every single day that if I focus my energy on just doing those 3 things, for me, it's getting protein at every meal or snack. I always have it trying to get a big ass salad or some kind of a big ass salad equivalent, which is just a ton of veggies on my plate, lean protein, and some healthy fats. And so that's 2. And then my other one right now is having a lot of water, so at least drinking 2 liters of water every day. All right, so those are my 3 things. So if I focus on those things, I know that I'm going to be feeling satisfied, that I'm going to feel that I'm going to be hitting my nutrients that I need for the day generally, and that I'm going to be more likely to be able to easily sustain my weight without a lot of effort. You just don't have to think about it too much. They're streamlined. So some ideas for getting protein with your snacks, because it can be tricky, right? Especially when you're on the go or you don't have something with you. Is I like to have things kind of ready to take with me in the fridge. So hard-boiled eggs are a great one. I just boiled up a dozen last night. So having hard-boiled eggs in the fridge is really helpful. Some things that you could take on the go would be those energy bites that we made last week. You could easily put those in a little bag or container to take with you in your purse or something. Beef jerky or some kind of turkey jerky is also another one that can be easy to take with you and doesn't need your refrigeration. I do like little cooler bags. It's kind of bulky, but I do take those with us sometimes if we're going to be on flights or going for a little bit longer and needing some snacks that need to stay cool. So getting a good freezer bag or cooler bag, it can be really nice, a small one. So hard-boiled eggs, jerky, hummus. I usually buy my hummus. I'm a big fan of the red pepper hummus. And, oh shoot, the connection was like cutting out. So I don't usually make my own just to save time, but that's a nice one to have with veggies to get a bit more protein. Greek yogurt's a great one, or any kind of plain yogurt. But Greek yogurt, especially the way they strain it, you get more protein. And sliced deli meats like turkey or roasted turkey, roasted ham, those kinds of things that don't have as much sodium or processed nutrients in them, like what am I thinking of, like bologna or those kinds of ones. You obviously want to stick trying to stick with like natural chicken, natural turkey. Rotisserie chicken can be another great one to boost up your protein, just to grab a couple slices of that, maybe have some with some veggies. I also like to keep in the fridge. I'll make a batch of like a bean salad or egg salad or chicken salad and have that, or tuna salad as well, and have that to either eat with veggies or with some whole grain crackers. So it's super easy or the bean salad I'll just eat by itself. So throw in some black beans, some corn, some avocado, maybe some tomatoes or roasted red pepper or salsa, and just make a really simple bean salad. Egg salad, tuna salad, chicken salad you could use with mashed avocado instead of mayonnaise as an idea, or a little bit of olive oil too, and just make a really simple, you can make it really simple, or you can get creative and add in celery and onion and all those kinds of things, parsley if you want, but I keep it simple. So that's for protein. So that's the first element of smart snacking. The second one is fiber. And just to keep you an update on the pressure cooker, it's still kind of bubbling a little bit of there, still releasing the steam, so not quite ready for us to open it up. So we'll keep that going while we'll keep talking about smart snacking while that's going over there. So the second one is fiber. So trying to get fiber, so it's kind of the same elements of a full meal, right? We try and get protein and fiber at our meals to keep us satisfied and keep the amount of calories that we take in a little bit lower. So fiber is a great one to help fill us up without getting in a ton of calories. And it also helps with, because of the way it slows down the digestion and absorption of the nutrients, it helps to keep your blood sugar more stable. So you don't get big spikes, big swings in your blood sugar level. So it doesn't peak as quickly, so it's a more gradual release into the bloodstream of the blood sugar, or the glucose, sorry, that can make your blood sugar rise. And then it also keeps it stable for longer because it just kind of drip feeds into your small intestine. And then it also helps with your digestion. That fiber is really good for, of course, keeping things moving, and it's really important for binding to cholesterol, so you're keeping your blood lipid levels in good order, especially for lowering your LDL levels, which are that you want to keep low, the kind of bad cholesterol, and for eliminating toxins. And that binds in your large intestines, especially the soluble fiber, and helps pull it out and take those with your elimination. You eliminate it. So there's two types of fiber, soluble and insoluble fiber. So the best way to think about soluble fiber, and most fruits and vegetables and beans and grains have a little mixture of both. They have some of each, and some have a little bit more of one than the other. And I'll go over that. So you just keep in mind, they usually have a mix of both soluble and insoluble. And the soluble fibers are the ones that create sort of a gel. If you think of pectin, if you've ever used pectin or know what that is for creating jams, jellies, and sauces, it helps, it pulls and it sucks up water and creates that gel kind of consistency. It's found in things like apple peel, pear peel, and in the fruit of the apple and of the pear. And it's also really common in oatmeal. If you've ever let oatmeal sit out, like cooked oatmeal, it usually kind of gets that jelly consistency, and that's from the soluble fiber that soaks up. Sort of like when you soak chia seeds too. They also have soluble fiber. They get that kind of jelly. You can create chia pudding. So that's soluble fiber as well. Insoluble fiber is maybe what you think of roughage, or a little bit more, you don't absorb it. It kind of goes through without absorbing into your body, and that's what helps eliminate some of those toxins as well. So insoluble fiber are things like nuts and beans with the skin. You know, the skin of the bean is insoluble fiber. The inside part of the bean is more of the soluble fiber. Leafy greens are insoluble fiber. Whole grains have, again, the mix, but a bit more of the insoluble. And then soluble fiber, like I mentioned, oatmeal, apples, pears, nuts have a little bit as well, and again, the inside of beans. So again, there's a mix. You get a little bit of each. So trying to get some fiber and some protein with your snacks is a really good way to make sure that you feel satisfied without overdoing, right? So that's the thing, is with carbohydrate-only snacks, when you just eat carbohydrates or carbohydrates and fat, they can be kind of really deadly on you start to crave them more, you start to need more, you feel more hungry, and you end up eating more calories in the end. Even if at the beginning it's a 100-calorie pack of just pretzels or crackers or whatever, and you're like, oh, I'm doing really well, I'm having a 100-calorie pack of this thing, so I'm keeping my calories in check. But then what happens afterwards? You still feel hungry, you don't feel satisfied, and you don't really feel like your blood sugar spikes, and then that triggers your insulin release, and you actually feel more hungry, and you end up eating more calories usually in the end, unless you have like iron willpower, because you're grabbing other things. You maybe grab more carbohydrates, or you end up snacking on other things down the road. So getting that fiber and protein at your snacks will be like your insurance, think of it, to keep you from over snacking and kind of overdoing it. I think the quinoa is done, so we're gonna probably pause and do the quinoa, get that out of the pressure cooker. Let me just check if it's, so I'm gonna just check. So see, no steam coming out. So what I'm gonna do, so that took about, I think, let me see, about 10 minutes? Yeah, that's about 10 minutes. So, one thing nice about this handle too is it doesn't get hot, it doesn't stay hot. So I'm gonna just slowly, carefully, it's always like, it's gonna explode. So there'll be steam, so you kind of want to make sure the thing goes away from you, so you can't really see very well. So there's a good bit of steam, but and one thing nice about the pressure cooker too, if you get nervous about the time, or that, oh, that's gross up there, sorry, is that you're worried it might not be done enough. You can always check it, do a quick release, see if it's done, and then, like, especially for meat, I always get a little nervous. I'm like, oh, is it going to be cooked enough or not? And you can always put the lid back on and keep going. I've read that somewhere, and I'm like, well, duh, why didn't I think of that? I always get nervous, like, once you take the lid off, it's like game over. You're done with the pressure cooking, but you can always put it back on, bring it back up to pressure, and cook it some more. So this, and you kind of have to, you know, just learn as you go too. Since I soaked this, I probably should have cut down a little bit on the liquid. It's a little bit more, it's not quite as dry and fluffy as I'd want it to be. So I'm not going to cook it anymore because then it could get mushy, but I will let it just sit out here. I'm not going to put it in the fridge yet. I'm going to sit it out, let it sit out while I finish talking about the snacking, and then put it away in a little bit so that some of the steam can evaporate off of it and dry it out a little bit. So that's just, you know, I'll know for next time. I would probably use a little bit less than 2 cups of water, just because with the soaking, it had absorbed so much water that it didn't need as much, it didn't need quite double. Okay, let's finish talking about smart snacking. With the third point we're going to talk about is ease. So that's super helpful, I think, is to think about you wanting your snacks to be easy, to have ease with them, because if you don't have them when you need them, or you're not prepared, then what happens, right? We grab whatever we can on the go, or at our house even. If we have things that are more tempting, we'll be more likely to grab those than to grab something healthy with protein and fiber and maybe vegetables. If you can get vegetables in your snacks, yes, that's even better. You can give yourself a big gold star, because that's just a really awesome way to get even more vegetables into your diet, is by trying to think of veggie forward snacks, which means just like thinking of the veggies as just part of every snack, every meal, and getting into that routine. So ease means convenience to take on the go, as well as on hand in the fridge. So there's a couple different, I'm just going to go through now some of my ideas, and I would love to hear if you guys have any, to put them in the comments, any of your favorite snacks that have these elements of protein, fiber, and that are easy. Sorry, I just want to check the comments. Unsoaked chickpeas take how long active pressure? Oh, Cynthia, you must be ready to do the cooking. We're going to get to that, but I think it's 35 minutes without soaking. Yes, 35 minutes at high pressure without soaking on a stovetop. If you have an Instapot, it's a little bit longer, and I'm not sure exactly how much time though. So for a stovetop, if that's what you have, 35 minutes, and to add oil, add like olive oil, some kind of mild oil, helps to keep from the foaming. So I'm going to get to that, but just if you're at that point already, you can get started. Okay, so some of my tips, some of my favorite convenient snacks to have either in the fridge or that I can take with me on the go. So in the fridge, I always have hard-boiled eggs. So every week I usually boil up about a dozen eggs and have those on hand. And those can either be added to things like I showed the other day, that curry that I made. I just put a hard-boiled egg on top of it. I put them in my big-ass salads. I have them as a snack with sriracha. But having hard-boiled eggs is just kind of my no-brainer, really easy way to get an awesome source of protein. Beans, always having either cooked beans like I'm going to do today with the chickpeas that are ready to go in the fridge, or a can or some cans of beans in the cabinet. And again, I use those to make little salads. Oli will just snack on chickpeas or black beans or red beans and just eat them as is. He actually prefers them that way instead of mixed with things, because he's a crazy 3-year-old that's super picky. Nuts and seeds. So some of my favorites are pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds. I always have those, more for snacking or adding to salads and things. But also, I usually will make my own mix from the bulk section at Whole Foods of some Brazil nuts, some pecans, some almonds, some pistachios, whole that are without the shell, What else will I put in there? Some cashews, and make my own nut mix to have. But just a note on nuts. Think of them as a fat and a fiber and not as protein. I think people oftentimes think, oh, I'm just going to add peanut butter or nuts to this and it's going to give me protein. And it will give you a little tiny bit of protein, but it's not the primary macronutrient in nuts. That's something I would like to shout from the rooftops. Nuts are fat, not protein. They will give you some, but not very much. So they can help with satiety and helping you feel satisfied because they have that fiber and they have healthy fats. But for some people, nuts can actually be a trigger. They can be a trigger food where they end up overeating them. They just keep snacking. So just pay attention and remember, nuts are fat, not protein. Sliced veggies. So I always have sliced veggies in the fridge, like red bell pepper. I'd like to get the big bag of peppers I think you guys saw from Costco that have yellow, orange, and red, and have some sliced peppers on hand, some sliced cucumber, carrots, baby carrots. What else? I don't get too crazy. I'm not a celery fan. No. Hummus, we usually get pre-made hummus, so I'll have that in the fridge too. Super easy to eat with those veggies. I'll have a Greek yogurt as well. So I usually have a thing of Greek yogurt, or I used to make, when I lived in Argentina, I made my own plain yogurt and would have that as a snack. Sometimes by itself, or sometimes I would add a little bit of nuts to it, or a little bit of dried fruit, but not overboard with the dried fruit. What else? Leftover. This is a good one. Leftover, like, I mentioned, or who mentioned yesterday? Sarah, I think you made the banana pancakes. So if you do just egg and banana, they get almost like a crepe-like consistency. So I haven't done it in a while, but I was looking at my notes from the last Nutrition No Time Challenge, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to do that again. So the banana pancakes, so just mashing up one banana, I think it's 2 eggs to 1 banana, and sometimes I'd throw in some chia seeds too, to kind of gel it up a little bit more, and some cinnamon. And when I make those, I usually make extra, so I double that, make some extras for breakfast and then for snacks. And then for the snacks, I would maybe put a little bit of cashew butter or almond butter, whatever kind of butter you like, and roll them up and have those as a snack in the afternoon. That's not one. What else? Mozzarella. So fresh mozzarella, either like the fresh mozzarella balls or the sticks. Those are a nice one to have on hand. I usually if I make overnight oats, I'll make extra, and that's a nice afternoon snack as well. So just having like a half serving of overnight oats, maybe putting it with some yogurt and having that as an afternoon snack. And the yogurt is to get a little more protein, or having a hard-boiled egg on the side. What else? Oh, sliced turkey, again, having that. And you can roll it up with some hummus, add a little roll. Okay, so those are some things. And then to take with you, some of the things I like to have to take with me are those energy bites that you can make all sorts of varieties. So I'll usually make some energy bites, those kinds of things to have available if I can take them in my purse. I also get some protein bars, and some of my current favorites. I've been liking the Onnit ones for a while now. So Onnit is a brand, I don't think I actually have any right now to show you the label. But Onnit is a brand that I really like, and they have omega-3 fatty acids in it, and they just have quality ingredients and good protein in it from whey protein, and just a nice macronutrient of fats, carbohydrates, and protein distribution. So Onnit bars, think thin bars are another good one that I'm not as keen on right now. Just kind of got over it, and they have some sugar alcohols in it that can upset your stomach. So there's some new ones that I'm trying. I got from the conference I went to last week that I'm trying. Some that aren't really high in protein, but they're not terrible. There's a couple. So Kind bars are pretty good, and they actually have a new one that I just tried at the conference I went to that was like a jalapeno one, and it had pea protein in it instead of soy protein, and I really liked that. They switched out that soy protein, which I'm not a huge fan of soy, so they put in pea protein, which is a really sustainable and good quality vegan protein, so I like that. So keep an eye out for those Kind bars with pea protein in them, and they have, I think, 10 grams of protein, so that's great. And then but yes, Kind bars can be nice in a pinch. They're more of a dessert to me because of that chocolate, and again, it's more fat and more sugar than it is protein. But those are some ones. Also, Epic bars are jerky. Like they have all kinds of good quality meats they use for jerky, so those are good ones. And then I think it's a Vermont is called the brand, and they have turkey jerky, and I like that as well. So those are some on-the-go ideas for you to use. And then I'm a big fan of using, I think somebody posted yesterday, but like a green juice or a green smoothie and having like a half portion of that in the afternoon and adding in maybe a scoop of collagen peptides or half a scoop of your protein powder and making it a little bit more of a substantial snack with that extra protein so you don't get a big spike and then a drop would be the reason behind that. So those are some of my ideas. Let me just see if there's any comments on the Facebook feed, and then I am going to pull up. Looks like I don't see any, but sometimes I don't. Okay. It's weird to hear yourself talking. Okay, I don't see any besides yours, Cynthia. I'm sorry if I'm missing it, if they're not showing me. I'm gonna jump back over to the kitchen, and we're gonna get the quinoa out of the pressure cooker, and then get the chickpeas going. So let me turn the light back on again on here, and grab a container for the quinoa. So like I said, tomorrow we're going to use all these ingredients plus some other ones to make a mix and match meal. So having those ready to go ingredients on hand. So kind of get that in there. And then I'm gonna give this a quick, thankfully it didn't stick or anything, so it's gonna be really easy to wash this out. And I have to tell you, for some reason it's really easy, even if you cook, I've had like meat get charred where we made them, didn't do it right, we didn't put enough water in, and it totally charred on the bottom. And it was still really easy to clean up for some reason. I don't know, it's really easy to clean the pressure cooker pan. It's just a nice big pan, so I use it for other sauteing things too. So that's ready to go. I'm gonna put that in the fridge and rinse this out. And we're gonna do the chickpeas. So I'm gonna do 1 bag or 1 pound of the chickpeas. And you're going to want some olive oil. If you're doing it with me, you're going to want some olive oil and some salt. I'm going to keep mine neutral flavored. You could add other things like garlic, cloves, or bay leaves, or other things to it to give it more flavor if you wanted, but I'm going to keep mine neutral because we're going to have it with beets tomorrow, and I don't really want garlic in there. Okay. So that's good. Okay. There we go. So I got my bag of beans. I open those up, and we're going to put those in the pressure cooker along with some oil. And the reason for the oil is that beans are notorious for foaming, and that can put the pressure cooker at risk for clogging. Sorry, that's really loud. Probably. I know sometimes the sound on the Facebook Live sound, it's even louder for you. Picks up a lot of background noise. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure these are covered with water. I'm just filling it up with water. You don't want to fill the pressure cooker, my kind at least, more than halfway full, so that it doesn't risk overflowing. So we're going to get lots. So it's not like greens where you have to measure out the exact amount of water because it's not going to absorb it all. You just want to make sure that there's extra so that it doesn't get burned and dry out. So you're going to pour off the extra water later. It's just like when you open a can of beans, it has some liquid with it, so it's just going to be the bean juice. It can be the bean juice. Okay, let me get my olive oil. Oh, and a key point is to, if you want them to have any salt, the only time you can really get it inside the bean is now when you're cooking them. So you want to make sure you add some salt. So I've got some salt here. I'm gonna grind in there. Just about a half teaspoon to a teaspoon. We got 1 pound of beans, it's filled about halfway full, a little less than halfway, maybe about 1/3 way full of water. And then I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons, this is 1/8 of a cup, 2 tablespoons of oil. And that's again to decrease the foaming when it's cooking. All right, so now we're gonna seal it. Stick that on there, and then you're gonna hear it hiss kind of as it closes, and we're gonna set that on the stove on high heat, high flame, until it comes to a high pressure where we get that seal again, when the protective seal on the handle goes up, and then this starts to bobble and make little hissing sounds. So once it's on high pressure, I'm going to set the timer for 35 minutes and let it go. I'm going to turn on the flame a little bit to about medium and let it go for 35 minutes, and then do a natural release on the steam. So just let it do its thing. Then if you check it and it's not quite done, it's better to do less time than more at the beginning, just because you don't want to overcook them. If you do overcook them, you just use them for hummus or something. But if you want them for a salad and they hold more of a texture, hold more firmness to them, then you want to go aim for less time. So I might even go for 30 minutes because I'm going to use these in a salad. I don't want to risk it, and check it. And then if it needs more time, I can always put the lid back on, go back to pressure for another 5 minutes, and do that. So, and as I said, these are unsoaked beans, so usually these would take hours to simmer. So this is going to take about half or a quarter of the time. And you can soak them, and it's actually, I was doing some research, and there's a couple of reasons why you would want to soak them, and that would be to, let me get this started while I'm talking to you. There we go. So a couple of reasons why you would want to soak them, and that is to help with digestion. Some people find that they do better with pre-soaked beans, so it would be nice to have them soaked if you notice that you kind of have a hard time digesting beans. So pre-soaking them if you had a harder time digesting them, and then but some people find that they don't notice a difference. And then also, if you want the shape to really be nice and not have that risk of some of them blowing apart or breaking down a bit, if you soak them, they're more likely to retain their shape and have a nice firmer shape at the finish. But again, that's like if you're having company over. If you're just making your regular beans and you forgot to soak them, no sweat. With the pressure cooker, you can do it really quickly and have beans ready for dinner even if you don't remember until 5 o'clock at night and you still have the beans ready. Please shoot me any questions, even if you're watching this later. I'll come back and answer them, be happy to. And we're going to be talking later this week about eating out and how to eat out well and how to do nutrition in no time, even on the go. So how to pick strategically when you eat out. So if you have any questions about that, or any insights or thoughts on eating out well, please put that in the comments or let me know your thoughts on that in a post. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you again tomorrow at 10 a.m. Ciao!